teacher Julian, and I will be your guide in understanding your English lessons. This video is intended for summarizing various text types based on elements. When not taught on how to properly summarize, summarizing can be difficult. Writing a good summary is not easy as it may appear among us. It actually requires quite a bit of judgment. More than anything else, you must read and comprehend the text. This may involve unpacking long sentences and interpreting challenging vocabulary. Then, you must identify the main ideas and key points, which means that you must have a good enough understanding of the text to distinguish between essential and non-essential information. Finally, you must summarize the information in your own words. Therefore, summarizing a text requires both comprehension and expression skills. As we move with our session, this video will present different elements of various text types and be able to summarize what you have read based on the elements. Summarizing various text types based on elements. What is a text type? Text types are forms of writing having a variety of purposes using different forms and standards of composition. Generally, there are two categories, the factual and literary. Within this are many more specifically defined text types. Factual or nonfiction text types. It informs the readers or convey information about a particular subject or topic. So when we say factual, generally, it informs the readers or it conveys information for a particular subject or topic. They give useful information and focus on truths and realities. So what are the examples? News reports, instruction manuals, records of history, procedure, recipes, information about real people or life situations, legal documents, and articles in academic journals. Non-fictional narratives. It could be a biography, autobiography, articles, and diary. Literary or fiction text types include poetry, narrative, or personal response. Its purpose, remember, is to entertain, elicit an emotional response, or engage the reader by using creative language and imagery by using language to create mental images. Some good examples of literary text include fictional narratives, like picture books, cartoons, mystery, fantasy, fairy tales, novels, science fiction, historical fiction, horror or adventure stories, fables, myth, legends, or plays. That you can already differentiate factual from literary text, let us give more focus on the literary narrative text, poems, and their elements. First is the character. Characters refer to the people, animals, or creatures that take part in the action of the story. It usually answers the question, who are the characters in the story? Examples, Princess Aurora and Prince Philip of Sleeping Beauty, Elsa, Anna, Olaf, Kristoff of Frozen. The second element is setting. Setting is the time and place in which the events happen. It answers the question, where and when the story happens or takes place. Examples, one morning in the forest, near the beach at dawn. The third element of a narrative text is the mood. It is the general feeling created in the reader upon reading or listening through word choice and pacing. It usually answers the question, what do you feel upon reading the story? Examples, excited, frustrated, sympathetic, amused. Next element of a narrative text is theme. Theme is the author's message or central concept about life or human nature conveyed through the story. It refers to the lesson or moral of the story. It usually answers the question, what is the message of the story? What is the story all about? What lesson did the main character learn? Examples, importance of family, benefits of hard work, power of love, friendship, and revenge. Conflict. Conflict refers to the main problem to be solved. It is a struggle involving two or more opposing forces. It answers the question, what is the problem that happens in the story? What problem is the main character facing? Examples: when the queen got jealous of Princess Snow White's beauty, she wanted to kill her so she will be the fairest of them all in the kingdom. Next we have plot. Plot tells the sequence of events from the beginning, middle, and ending. It is made up of the problem, important events, and the resolution. It usually answers the question, what happened in the beginning, in the middle, and the ending of the story. So in the beginning, you will find out who the story is about, or who will be the characters, where and when the story occurs, and what is the problem. In the middle, you usually find the main character's attempts at solving the problem. In the end, you will usually find the resolution to the problem. Most stories are the extensions of this simple structure: the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. Example: once upon a time, there lives a beautiful and kind-hearted Princess Snow White who charms every creature in the kingdom except one, her jealous stepmother, the queen. When the magic mirror proclaims Snow White the fairest one of all, the queen orders her huntsman to take Snow White deep down the forest to kill her. The princess was rescued by 7 dwarf miners who make her part of their household. The queen discovered that the princess was still alive, so she tricked Snow White with an enchanted apple. Only the magic of true love's kiss can save her from falling asleep. The dwarfs were too late to save Snow White from the poisoned apple. They placed her in a glass coffin in the forest and mourned for her. Prince Florian, who is passing by, has fallen in love with Snow White. He happens to awaken the princess from the wicked queen's death-like spell with pure love's kiss. So that's an example of a plot where you can find the beginning, the middle, and ending of the story. Plot is particularly the part of the story being summarized, as it contains the most important details of the story. This is the storyline. The term plot refers to the writer's creation of a plot or devising and ordering the story events. Plot has several parts. In the beginning, we have the exposition and the conflict. For the middle part, we have the rising action and the climax. Then in the ending, we have the falling action and the resolution. Elements of plot in narrative. So first, in the beginning, we mentioned exposition or introduction. This first part of the plot presents the main characters, the protagonist, and the setting. Here, the reader is getting to know the story and what it's going to be all about. Then conflict. The main conflict or tension around which the plot revolves is also usually introduced here in order to set up the sequence of events for the rest of the narrative. This tension could be the first meeting between the two main characters, the start of a mystery, or a rising of problems. So remember that in the beginning we have the exposition and the conflict. What about in the middle? In the middle, we have rising action and climax. So when we say rising action, it creates tension, both within the story and the reader. It sets the rest of the plot in motion. Excitement grows as tension gets higher, eventually leading to the climax of the story. For example, the antagonist, which is the enemy, planning to hurt the protagonist, which is the lead character. What about climax or turning point? It is the most critical element wherein tensions are highest, instilling in the reader a sense of excitement, fear, and nervousness and the likes. The character does something about the conflict of the problem. Then in the ending, we have the falling action and the resolution, or the denouement. In the falling action, this is when the story is going out of tension and the story begins to wind down. We start to see the results of the climax, the main character's actions, how characters' choices affect themselves and those around them. In the resolution, this final point is the finale or closure where everything is wrapped up and is usually short. Characters usually achieve the sense of normalcy, but resolution is not always a happy ending. Ending can be tragic and entirely unexpected. So that's in the ending of the plot. So you can now summarize a story using the given elements. Summaries can be presented in different styles. Using a graphic organizer is one creative way. You may plan your composition using the chart. In the illustration, you can see a hamburger where you put on top the title. Then you have the first paragraph where you can write your introduction as part of the element of the plot or the exposition, the characters and setting. Then paragraph 2, you can include the conflict, the rising action, the climax, falling action, and the resolution. Then for your last paragraph, you can write your conclusion where you can include the theme, try to save the surprise or the climax also in the last paragraph. So that's it. This is also what we call narrative poetry, which tells stories through verse. A narrative poem, like a novel or a short story, has plot, characters, and setting. It presents a series of events, often including action and dialogue, using a range of poetic techniques such as rhyme and meter. To compare, a short story is usually written in recognizable sentences, while a poem is composed of lines, which may not observe the usual grammatical rules. Furthermore, stories are organized into paragraphs, while a poem is made up of verses or stanzas. But both express emotion and convey message to readers and can be summarized based on their different elements. So let us read the story and try what's more. Poetry is also a form of literary text which follows a meter and rhythm on each lines and syllables. It is always rhythmical, usually metaphorical, and often exhibits such formal elements as meter, rhyme, and written in stanza structure. It follows a set of rules governing the number and arrangement of syllables in each line. In poetry, words are looped together to form sounds, images, and ideas that might be too complex or abstract to describe directly. So let us discuss briefly what are the elements of poetry or poem. So we have elements of poetry, the theme, a truth or lesson or a message about life, the mood, the feeling the poet is trying to convey, rhythm, the beat, sound, and feel of a poem, stanza, group of lines in a poem. The line is a single row of words in a poem. Rhyme describes the words that have the same ending sound. Then meter, the number and style of accented syllables in a line. So those are the elements of poetry: the theme, mood, rhythm, stanza, line, rhyme, and meter. So let's try this example. One Moment at Recess by Grace E. Ponce. It was 10 o'clock in the morning at Mabuhay Elementary School. It's time to take a snack. It was recess time. Pupils are lined up in waiting for their turns to go inside the canteen. Out of the crowd, Joselito seems down at the bench just looking around, the kids eating and some are playing. He had no money to buy something because his father did not receive his salary yet. His mother told him to have a heavy breakfast for him to be full until lunchtime. While waiting for the time to pass by, he suddenly saw 50 pesos on the ground. He said to himself, "If I spend this money, I will be able to have lots to eat for recess." But he knows that it is not the right thing to do. So he goes to their classroom and asks for help from his advisor to find the owner of that money. It so happened that one of his classmates, Irene, was crying at the corner of their classroom because she lost her money. Joselito asked Irene how much she lost. "It's 50 pesos," said Irene. Joselito gives the 50 pesos that he saw to Irene and said, "I think it's yours." Irene was so thankful to Joselito. As a form of her appreciation, she told Joselito to go to the canteen with her and they shared snacks for recess. Joselito was grateful that because of his honesty, he was able to enjoy his recess time. From the story, One Moment at Recess, let's try this activity. So the choices are the elements of the narrative text, the characters, mood, conflict, resolution, setting, and theme. Then we have to identify the element of the literary text from the story you just read. Choose your answer from the choices. So it was 10 o'clock in the morning at Mabuhay Elementary School. That is definitely the setting. Okay. Joselito, a grade 5 pupil, and his classmate, Irene. Of course, that's an example of characters. While waiting for the time to pass by, he suddenly saw 50 pesos on the ground. So that's where the conflict started. Joselito gives the 50 pesos that he saw to Irene and said, "I think it's yours." So that is the resolution. And honesty, do not claim what is not yours. That's the theme of the story. Today we have another meaningful lesson in English, and please keep on watching for more reviews and videos.